Caroline Skelton, and I've got some of my dad's diaries, which he kept from 1958 to 2020, so 62 years. Well, my dad was a farmer originally, and he kept diaries so that he could record how many eggs his chickens were producing, and then he also would write about how the crops were doing, but then he also wrote about his family, his mum and dad, his sister, his twin brother, and then he would write when he got married. He wrote about that and my mum and myself and my 3 sisters. We used to know about the diaries. He always used to keep them above his bed, and he used to write in them every day. And if he missed a day, he would write in the morning the next day. But we weren't allowed to read them. So my dad's no longer here because he died in 2021. I've got all these diaries, myself and my 3 sisters, and it's a case, well, we can look in the diaries and find anything, any information from the last 60 years. We can find it, and it's very interesting. So he wrote about things like the moon landings, he wrote about the royal family, he wrote about things to do with all sorts of political events, although he wasn't political. But it's interesting just to read about when, for example, when I was born, I can read that, and when my sisters were born, and when my children were born, it's all in the diaries. Yeah, it's and also I've got my nieces, and they message me and ask me to send them a picture of the day they were born. So I have learnt, not specifically from the diaries in that, because I did know he wrote quite generally about things, but he wrote about his time at boarding school, and he wrote a piece that fell out of one of his diaries, which was all about being at boarding school, what it was like, how he played sports, some of the antics that they got up to at boarding school, him and his brother, and it's his twin brother, and just what that was like, which I didn't know before. So that's been quite interesting. All of us want to keep them. There's 4 of us, and we all want them because it's like having part of my dad. And it is historically, there is a lot of facts in these diaries which are very interesting. So it's what we do now. I'm not sure whether we could hold them somewhere that might be of interest to somebody else, or whether we get them copied somehow. That would be quite helpful if we could get them copied, and then we could all have copies of them. But there are 62, so I'm not quite sure how we do that. Keeping a diary it's not something that's easy, because sometimes you're tired, aren't you, at night, and you don't want to write. But he did it every single day religiously, and to think that he did all that, and then, you know, what can we do with them? It's amazing, really.